people, we got through an election, and it was pretty exciting. I don't know about you, but the results were interesting, intriguing, short-term, long-term. I think it opens a lot of doors. I think there's going to be a very interesting, this is the beginning of a very interesting change in the winds, if you will, in Knox County politics. Almost Agreement at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, website, Almost Agreement, go on there. Put your favorite podcast provider, like, friend, share, follow, text your friends, do what you do to support the show. We are going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to do some more stuff. So we're coming out of the state and federal primary, so don't get too excited. The elections are not over yet. But at least round one here in Knox County, we have a new mayor, we have some new council, or some new commissioners, some new school board members, and then a bunch of the jobs that nobody cares about. And then we got a police chief that's in trouble and a sheriff that's dying and trying to get out of there, with a new sheriff coming in to try to dodge the bullet on a big question. So, yeah, we got plenty going on and plenty to talk about. So we're going to do that here in a moment. Hi, buddy.
Hi.
What's happening? What's new? What's exciting?
Oh, not much.
Exciting indeed.
Yes.
So, yeah, right off the top, big headline news. No surprise. Betsy Henderson will be the new mayor of Knox County. But barely. Holy crap, barely.
It was relatively close, yeah.
Yeah, like it was the closest it's been since the whatever the last Democrat mayor of Knox County was. I mean, if you take the short term on it, Jacobs won his first run at like 25, 30 points, and then it dropped down to about 10 points against Debbie Helsley, and now we're in the 5-point range for Bo Hawk the communist and, conservative mom, activist, whatever the fuck you want to title. Betsy, it's just a little 5%er, tiny little bit. Decent number. Total election count was up 80-something thousand, so like 30-something percent. Way to go, Knox County, breaking out of those. The number started with more than 2. We've been in the 20s for fuck ever, and so anytime we break that 20 and get into the 30s, I'll take that as a win. But yeah, I mean, break it down. Absentee, Bo wins by 19 votes in absentees. 50.62% of the absentee votes went to Bo Hawk. He was about 2,000 short on the early voting, and then 1,100 short on Election Day voting, combining for 4,400 or so difference between the two of them, out of 88,000 votes. So for the math whizzes out there, that's 51.6% to 48.38%. It's pretty scary there, Knox County Republicans. You better get your shit together.
Almost didn't run.
Because the other big part of the play here is you have Commission District 3. Democrat takes that seat for the first time in 24 years, something like that.
Really?
School Board District 9 is now a Democrat. And in the history of the school board, there's never been a Democrat in that seat officially, because it only went partisan a couple cycles ago.
Yeah.
But even in that, to most people's recollection, most people who ran and won school board in District 9 in Knox County have been Republican-leaning people in at least modern history. So, we now have a Democrat-dominated school board. We have with everything else that shook out in the commission races and stuff like that, we will have a 7-4 will be the official party split. One of those 7 is Terry Hill, who hates Betsy Henderson, has been actively hating with Betsy Henderson, and they've been feuding ever since Betsy took her trip to the State House a year and some change ago.
Right.
And so Terry Hill and Betsy Henderson are not particularly friendly with each other, so we'll take that to a sort of Republican, that's because she's got 2 more years on her term. You've got you've got a couple of ones. So you basically the way I like to break it down, at least looking at it, is you have 4 Democrats, 4 Eric Weider candidates, and 3 others. Now the 3 other ones are technically Republicans, but they're not that style of Republican. So we're going to have a very interesting county commission coming up, because I think we're going to have a contentious, slap fight, bitch fest county commission, and I'm all about it.
But votes go down to just majority, right? Same with
most
the
things.
school
There's
board.
a couple. There's a couple of there's veto proof. They could veto proof stuff, which will be interesting because we might get that challenge, because we might have a majority, a simple majority of county commission that wants to raise taxes, Betsy's going to veto it. Or at least she said she's going to veto it. And if she does, then it comes back to commission, and commission has to get to that 80%.
80%.
Right. They have to get to 8 or 9 votes to get it to veto proof, which that's going to probably be impossible.
Right.
So that's interesting. I mean, so lots of fun, exciting stuff. That's the big local. I mean, that's the big headlines from the local one. Gay dude wins County Commission District 3 over book burning Sherry Super. A Democrat wins District 9 in school board, and Cat Bike retains her seat in District 4. And so District 4 is a bluish purple district now. We've got two school board cycles in a row, and a county commission in the middle of that have all gone to Democrats.
Garrett run for county commission?
Garrett was but that was an at-large, so that was countywide.
Okay.
But he did win pretty solidly. The one that's more interesting in the countywide races in that conversation is the Kofor one, the dude that was selling prescription, not illicit drugs, but selling prescription drugs to people in prison or something like that. I can't remember exactly what the breakdown was. It's this thing we talked about a little bit.
Yeah.
It was not. He wasn't selling heroin to inmates. He was selling like oxys and stuff like that, prescription drugs.
He got voted in?
Yes, he did. He did win his seat.
Cool.
Yeah.
How long ago was this?
It was like 2017, so it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Where is it? I got the whole thing in front of me. It was an extensive ballot. It took me a couple minutes. Briggs beat the shit out of Kent Morrell. Elaine Davis dominated the District 18 primary. Marsha, surprise. I voted for Monty Fitz. I'm not going to lie. I don't like his anti-Islamist stances or anything like that. But, I mean, that primary was literally a shit, a turd, and some diarrhea. Pick one.
Yeah.
So I picked...
I wonder how it would have came out if Fritz wasn't running. He got a decent percentage.
Yeah.
And Rose wasn't too far behind.
No, I mean, Marsha only got 45% in Knox County. I think statewide she added a couple percent, but I don't think she took a majority of the votes.
Right.
I think she was a plurality pretty much everywhere, but I don't think she was a 50+% statewide. She might have been.
I did figure out the ads I keep seeing for a guy running for governor. Apparently he's running as an independent.
Ah, where'd he go?
I finally looked him up. I was like, oh, okay, that's why I didn't see him on any of the sample ballots.
All right, where'd he go? I was looking for Kofor. Where you at? It's only 27 pages of ballot stuff to cycle through here. Because you had stupid, Republican Party executive committee woman and executive committee man, and Marquita won the U.S. Democrats for the Senate race there. Michaela Barnett. I think Barnett and Timmy Burchett is going to be an interesting. It's again going to be. I think Tim is going to hold his seat, but I think it's going to be closer than the Republicans want it to be.
Ogles lost his primary.
Fuck that guy. Yes.
Yeah.
Come on, where's my?
I was blanking on some of the crazy bills that Ogles tried to submit.
Well, he's the one that before Biden got sworn in, he'd already started impeachment hearings.
Wasn't he?
For no good reason other than he didn't like the guy. But Huckabee won 57 or 55. 55-45. I mean, 10 points is pretty big for a district. Sherry Super. That was the District 3.
Oh, okay.
Barry Cooper. There goes. At large 10. Kofor, Katina Sharp, and Ronnie Cunningham. Kofor finished with 50.89% of the vote.
So even with 3, he still got a little over half.
Yeah, he did, and so But even that, like, take the mess that he is as a particular candidate out, and you take even Garrett Holt for that matter. It was a 3-person race. Last similar cycle that you had these two at larges. That was Kim Frazier and I'm blanking out on the other one. They were 55-60% wins, and now we're just 4 years later, and now it's a 50 51% and a 52.5%. Sneaking by. The Republicans are in trouble. Knox County is pretty close to purple at this point. And I mean, according to Scott, he was at the Republican Party, and there was a little bit of a sigh of relief when Betsy officially won the mayor.
Yeah,
meaning they were sitting around. They were sitting around the room going, "We might not have won this."
Yeah,
and so there will be lots of backtracking on the topic, but. Whatever. I don't know. It's exciting. Like I think this was a big race. I think this is an important race. I think projecting into the future, I think next 4 years from now, we're going to have a better Democrat run for mayor. Bo Hawk, no offense, buddy. You were a bad candidate. I think he could have pulled it off. I think the two things they could have done with that campaign, and I'll tell any Democratic operative this, and they'll tell me I'm wrong. And you already told me I'm wrong once. Is first off, you take that, you take that Venezuela thing and you lead with it from the start. You own it from the beginning, and then the effect of the freak out from the right isn't going to change. People aren't going to be like, "Yeah, we know about it. It's okay."
Yeah.
I mean, look, you had to get again. End of the day, the local Democrats, their entire existence coming into this race is we need to get somebody to run. We all know they're not going to win. Who do we get to run?
We got to try.
We got to talk somebody into running, even though if they're even remotely plugged in and tuned in and understand what's going on, they know they're about to spend the next 6-8 months. I mean, to be fair, they didn't have a primary, so they didn't get too serious. There were some little bits here and there back in January, February, but pretty much for the totality of 2026, you're going to be doing this thing on the side. You're going to have your day job, and you're going to be doing whatever you do with the rest of your life, but you're going to be running this campaign for the year of 2026 until Election Day in August, and you're probably not going to win. Who wants to do it? You know what I'm saying? Like sitting around in a meeting, we need somebody to run for mayor. Who wants in? Everybody's like, we need somebody. Who's going to be? I don't know, not me. I mean, it's a tall ask, and I get it. But what Bo successfully did is he made it much less of this campaign cycle to me is going to make it much less of an ask. Now we're going to get like a Courtney Durrett. Or maybe my dude, I just blanked out his name, Shane Jackson out here in District 4. He'll be coming up on the end of his first term. And so he'll have to make the decision whether he wants to run for a second term as county commissioner or step up to run for that mayor seat. But we'll have more established names that have more notoriety. And, I think everything, all things being equal, if it was Courtney Durrett instead, I think Courtney Durrett probably is mayor right now. I truly do. I think if the Republicans if you took Bo Hawk out and put Courtney Durrett in, I think she wins this race. I think she beats Betsy in the head to head. Not walking away, but 53-54%. I think it's a 6-8 point win by the Democrats in a countywide mayor's race. If you had a Courtney Durrett or I don't know about Shane Jackson. I don't know if he's got the name. I know him because he's my rep.
Right.
And he has done some stuff, and he has been active and stuff like that. But Courtney, especially coming off that primary thing, which that whole thing wouldn't have happened, I guess, if she was in the race. Or maybe it does. Maybe it still does as part of her thing.
I mean, Bo Hawk had no name recognition.
Right. But Courtney does. But Courtney did regardless. But I was saying during that primary is when Courtney put that thing out. That everybody started freaking out about her basically
pulling a Republican primary.
Saying she was going to cross over for her primary and stuff like that. Which again, I don't think she does that if she is the other, if she's in Bo Hawk's place at that exact time.
Yeah.
She might still cross over. I would if I were her. Or if I were Bo Hawk, I would have crossed over. If I was Bo Hawk, I would have voted for Betsy too. I would have crossed over and taken that Republican primary, and I would have voted for Betsy. Because Betsy's the one you can beat. And again, but that's what we learned from, and that's the other thing too. You go to this County Commission District 3 race, Sherry Super squeaks by was a couple dozen votes. It wasn't a bunch. Squeaks by the boots Gina Oster, current commission chair, out of her incumbency run in a primary, and then gets beat in the general. which is what, I mean, not exactly. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it was sort of an incumbent run for Larson. These other at large. Is Larson the other at large? Anyway, Larson, like, it was kind of a given. Larson was going to be running for mayor, and Larson was going to be the Republican candidate. And then Betsy jumps in, and then it's like, okay, Larson might not be the Republican candidate. And then Kim jumps in, and then it was like, oh, absolutely, Larson, Betsy's going to be the candidate now.
Yeah.
And so, which I think is why a Courtney or a Shane Jackson didn't run, because they were okay with Larson. They would have been okay with Larson, and they assumed that Larson was going to take it, and they didn't want to go get in that fight with Larson. But as soon as it became Betsy, they would be like, "Damn, I should have made that fight." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, but again, so the District 9 school board seat as well as the District 3 commission seat were both incumbents running that got beat in their primaries by far right, not identity politics, culture war politics candidates, beat incumbents to get the Republican nomination, and then both of them go lose to Democrats.
Yeah.
And so what do we learn? We learn that unless you're in like a District 7 in Knox County or one of these really like hardcore Republicans going to win it no matter what seats, maybe you've got to be a little bit more careful with your primary candidates. Because congratulations, Republicans, you just lost a seat in two bodies, the majority of one body because of it, because you let a primary loon sneak through and beat an incumbent. Because I think Gina would have beat Huckabee in District 3 all day long. I think Christie would have beat. I gotta find it. Where is she? 6, 7, 8, 9. I think Christie would have beat Brandy Jenkins in District 9. I'm not as sure about that one is, but I'm positive Gina would have beat Huckabee. I'm positive. And like I said, I think you and I have talked about this a bunch. I think Larson would have beat Bo walking away instead of sneaking by 2%, 3%, whatever the math is.
Very possible. Yeah.
And so you take that, like I think, Ogle's losing even though it's not local. I think Marcia getting caught up on, that's another one. Like that when Marcia announced, I think it's still true Marcia's going to be our governor, but there was no is there anybody going to challenge us at all? And I think with how much was spent and how dirty that primary got, that dirt was going to linger into that general.
I think I was reading Rose. I think he spent more than she did.
And I think Marquita.
But it was funny. I saw a
Marquita's
comparison of the Democratic governor candidates. I think the biggest spender was $75,000. It wasn't even that much. I think Marcia was $500,000, maybe quarter mil to $500,000.
That's it. I'm kind of surprised it's as low as that.
Yeah, it might have been more.
See, what was the other one? Yeah, who'd the Dems do for
governor?
For governor, yeah.
I'm not sure.
Jerry Green.
Yeah, Jerry Green. That's what it was.
You know what I mean? In Knox County. Because this is just Knox County ballots. Knox County pulled Democratic primary ballots pulled was 33,150. Republican primaries pulled was 52,000. So it's not a runaway amount. It's a lot. But how many? I mean, I don't know. If you voted for Fritz or John Rose, you could probably hold your nose and vote for Marcia any day of the week, I guess.
Apparently Jerry Green is a she.
Yes. I knew that.
I guess I assumed.
You sexist soul.
I know it.
And so we'll see. I got to schedule some interviews with some Bryans. Got Brian Langen, who's running against Briggs in that general, and Brian Goldberg. It's Goldberg. Was that racist? Is that xenophobic? Not xenophobic. Is that anti-Zionist? I think I just might have been an anti-Semite on accident. Goldberg is running for 18. You need to meet that guy. UT swimmer. But so, anyway, that's the election results as I see it, people. I don't think there's any takeaway other than the Dems won. The Dems won the day by a mile. We'll see if that continues into November. I don't know. Like the Briggs situation up in District 5, I feel like there's a lot of people that don't want to vote for him in District 5 who I interact with. But I also have a very isolated, insulated subset of people that live in District 5 that I talk to.
Yeah.
So that's not a really fair one. And Elaine Davis, she cleaned up. She cleaned up on a primary with this Brett character who had the backing of the quote-unquote establishment, the old school, the Randy Boyds and that set of people from around here. Brent Jones spent a lot of money and had a lot of support for some prominent old school Republicans from East Tennessee. And Elaine Davis whooped that ass. And so I don't know. I don't understand the appeal of Elaine Davis. I've mentioned a time or 10 on here. I'm not a big. I hate her. I'm not a big fan. Is an understatement. I don't like her. I don't think she's a good elected official. I would be more than happy for her not to lean on her husband for anything criminal related. Because no offense to cops, but anything that gives them more power, more control, and stuff like that is the stuff that they're going to pick. Also, job security, I should reach out to him and see what he thinks about the flock camera system and my whole labor angle on it.
Who?
Mike Davis. Mike Davis. He was the one that ran for sheriff. He was the other one that wasn't indicted the day after the primary.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's Elaine Davis's husband. And then there's there was another weird rumor going around last week, which apparently Betsy Henderson's husband just comes to all sorts of meetings and stuff with her and sits next to her. Like an aide, except it's her husband, and he's just hanging out.
I wonder if there's rules that you can't have a visitor or advisor there with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, whatever. They're. I mean, at the end of the day, they were running the family values campaign, and so what he say, if he's a good old school proper Christian, what he says is what she's going to do anyway, right? So. Anybody that voted for her knew they were voting for him, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're this Christian conservative, we have a subset of the right now who's, what is it? They're trying to change election law to by income, and it's head of household is the only one that gets to vote, but they get to vote for the number of adults in their household.
There was a couple national candidates for some kind of race that were floating that idea.
There's been a number, it's been brought up. I don't know how serious the floating of the idea was, but it's still floated by people that have at least proximity positions of power.
Yeah. I haven't heard about it at the state level. I thought there was some federal.
Well, if you're going to change election law, it's got to be state by state anyway. All states run their own elections.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. Anything for you? Anything exciting up in the AC neighborhood that you saw on election day?
No, I didn't follow it.
Did you guys vote? Anderson County might not have had the same election day.
I think
they did. I think, actually, I know they did because I saw the results going through a bunch of the different stuff when I was putzing around on Facebook last night about it. But
yeah, I didn't follow any of the race to see what happened with it.
So we will see.
They got a constable.
How it goes.
Still don't know exactly what they do. Yeah, I can't find that article that talked about how much the governors
spent.
Yeah,
I mean we're just getting started. That's going to be an active mudslinging mess. But if anything, the Republicans need to learn that calling people social or calling people, USSR Russian communist doesn't really move the needle, apparently. Because, again, I can't undersell how impressive the turnout was for Bohawk. Like, I was shocked with those results. Although it was my guess, but it's my gambler's guess because Scott and Jesse and I we picked 4 of the races and we picked them. We picked the winner and the percentages. And that's the only race of the 4 we did. That's the only one I won because I guessed small. But if you're going to gamble, it's more of a gambler's choice. It's like these guys are probably going to be closer to right than I am. Yeah. And I'm thinking they're going to be in the mid-50s. I'm going to go in the low 50s. Because it was either, play the Price is Right game and guess 1% over what I think they're going to do. Or go under. And so I went under, and that's how I won that one. But, yeah. So, I don't know. What have you heard about the police chief who is now at least short-term unemployed?
There was some inappropriate texting and messages.
Yeah. You know what's sad?
They never met.
I mean, they met in person.
Right, they met in person.
But not since they started sexting, if you will.
Yeah.
Apparently, he did a ride-along early when he got here. But he did a ride-along with, like, everybody when he got here. And so one day he rode along with her.
Yeah. But he's like
but they didn't
30-day suspension?
30-day suspension without pay. He's got to pay for his own leadership training and some other sensitivity course or some shit.
But his statement seems like he owned up to it, didn't try to like obfuscate it or anything.
I don't know. Maybe this is the result of this is the post-Trump era. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not excusing his actions. I do think it's wrong. It's definitely against policy, right. And there should be something.
So I think he's married as well.
Yeah. Yeah. But it definitely breaks policy, and there should be some punishment to go along with it, but I don't know. Like, is this a big fucking deal?
It sounds like he may be out because I think the Concannon came out and said she supports the second in command that's going to be taking over for the next 30 days or whatever. I think she said, can't remember her exact words. Basically, like she was disappointed in him.
Yeah, but I think it's like, and this guy's going to cover for the time he's gone, and he'll be great. He's been with the department for 30 years, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know. She might, but, like, also when she went and hired Noel, the point was to get somebody outside of the department because she wanted to see some structural change, which Noel has brought. And so, I don't know. It's been a bad couple of years for Concannon. Like, the wheels fell off of her administration about a year and a half ago with the Chilhowie Park mess and the sales tax referendum failure. And the one highlight she had left was she picked this great guy who's been a great sheriff or a great police chief. And now he's not even really dirty talking. Like, have you read any of the texts?
No.
They're not that bad. I mean, they're really not. They're, again, I don't know. Like, if you took I feel like if you took the texts, if we took the whole text and made it a you and me conversation, like 99% of it would just be like two dudes talking to each other about random shit, work stuff, like talking about work shit together or whatever. And then like one or two, I think there's one or two times where like Noelle like told her she was sexy. But like outside of that, it's like, I don't know, it's just me and you talking about work shit. And I'm your boss.
Yeah.
And you're sexy. So what? It's a fact. But there was again, like, I don't know, tone in text message is hard to read.
Right.
And especially if you don't know the actual people. Like, if you know the people, you can kind of pick up tone. But I don't know either of these people well enough to try to pick up tone off of them. Again, I'm not excusing it, but on the laundry list of shit that I'm worried about, that ain't one of them. I mean, it's really not.
Yeah.
And, and to be a little anti-feminist here, maybe, is she didn't get in trouble. Should she have gotten in trouble? I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I got weird feelings on it. Like, in the article I was reading on it, it's like, nothing, she will have no disciplinary action for this. Now, apparently, this stemmed from a secondary internal affairs investigation on her about some other shit that happened with her, and that investigation is still pending. Officer Reed or something like that.
Yeah, I thought it was something like she reported it to it, but she wasn't, like you said, it was kind of secondary.
Right, she didn't report it. Like, this was not her saying, the chief has been coming on to me and it makes me uncomfortable and I don't know what to do, and so she took it to whoever and then they brought this investigation up and blah, blah, blah. No, it was right. Another officer, if I remember and understand it correctly, it was an incident with her and a different officer that other officer was reported to IA, I guess, about it, and said, "Hey, this lady's got problems. She's been inappropriate with this thing, and by the way, she's been talking pretty inappropriately with the chief."
Yeah.
Like it was a secondary thing on top of the initial complaint from a different officer. And so then in the process, they're going through the investigation between these other two officers. That brings the chief's part of the conversation in, and so that's a secondary investigation. From that specific one, Officer Reed has got no punitive issues coming from it. The original case is still pending for whatever it was. That's still under investigation.
Right.
And apparently a couple years ago, she got suspended for 120 hours, so 3 days, I guess, or 3 weeks, for having an affair with a lieutenant who was married to a different captain in KPD.
Oh, wow.
And so apparently she's got some history. Not saying, she's guilty of anything here. She did allege when asked about it that she wasn't sure how to handle it, and she felt pressure to play along with the chief because it's the chief, it's her boss's boss's boss.
Right. Head honcho.
Now, again, is that the convenient right way to respond when you're put in a corner as that person? Maybe. Is it true? Maybe. I don't know. We won't, unless she comes out and be like, no, I was totally into that shit, and I was going to have a long affair with the chief. Unless she comes out and says it. We don't know which way it's going for her.
Right.
But, again, to me, it's like some of the things coming out of the text, too, though, it's like she really wanted to be on the mounted division, and she wanted to go hang out in Market Square on a horse. And apparently brought it up to the chief a couple times in their text messages, and his reply was, if you qualify for that, whatever, I will support your transfer into that department or whatever they call it internally.
Yeah.
If you qualify, the couple of times anything like that came up, he was always it seemed like, at least through the text messages, he was careful to, in writing, make sure to be clear that he was not going to do her any favors because they were virtually sort of fucking ish, whatever the relationship you want to call it. He seemed to be very intent on making sure it was very clear that none of the fruits of their relationship was going to give her promotions or anything like that.
Right.
in chat. So I don't know.
He would support.
That's
running on the edge of it.
Not really. If it comes down to 5 different candidates,
I know he's not the one making the decision, but at the same time, if he made a call and was like, "Oh, I do back her as that transfer or whatever," I don't know. But
again, if she qualifies for the position, and there's 5 different people that all qualify for the position, and whoever's got to pick one of the 5,
all right.
Yeah, I guess. It's not fair that some other, Chief Noel's straight, so he's not into some dude that wants to get in the mounted division, and so he's like, hey, we're going to let the girl have it because the chief likes her. Doesn't look good, you're right, but it's not like, it's not like she got a chance at it even though she wasn't qualified kind of shit. I guess that's sticking it. I don't know. I think it's appropriate. I think he should be punished for it. I think I think this should play out. I probably more think this other officer probably needs to get out of the department. And the problem now for Noel is he's going to get back into his seat in a month from now, and he can't touch her. Because if he does anything, it's going to look punitive on his side, even if it's the right thing to do, because something spurred their conversation. She has a previous incident with a previous superior officer sexually, and then whatever the fuck this other current investigation is that's on her about. She seems like bad news for the department.
Yeah.
But now he can't do anything about it, because if he does, it's going to look like him being seeking retribution for the damages she caused him, instead of it being, this might be the right thing for the department. But we'll never.
You would think in this day and age, they'd be a little bit smarter of knowing that IAB can pull their text messages.
What's just crazy is apparently they only spoke on the phone once. It was all text messages.
Yeah.
At least according to the reporting that WBIR put on it, is he did a ride along with her in the first couple months he was here, but he did that with everybody, and so it was nothing specifically about her. It was just he was going out to meet his officers. And then since whatever this thing is that started, whatever started this relationship, it was 10,000 text messages and one phone call. And that's all the interaction they've had. No in-person.
That's what it was there was no in-person anything.
I'll bet, if they got out in the county at all, we could ask the sheriff, and he could probably help us find out where they were. But that's a like thin blue line kind of situation.
Right.
Pretty sure the sheriff's not going to cross it.
I mean, there's some animosity between city and county.
Not enough to go that far. That's
right.
Well, one, I mean, if you're Sheriff Spangler, you don't want to let the cat out of the bag of what you're capable of. Which that's the thing about Gibson's statement that bothers me. He's like, one of the things in his statement last night was something along the lines of there are a lot of misconceptions about what these things do, who has access to them, blah, 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 blah. And like from as soon as I heard the statement, I was like, yes, there are a lot of misconceptions because you guys are telling us that there are license plate readers. And they're far more than that. They're significantly further.
Right,
more,
they keep calling them LPRs. Yeah.
Right. They're not fucking license plate readers. But you guys, like, you keep telling us that's one of the first misconceptions that we need to clear up. These are vehicle identifiers, period. They identify vehicles just like you and I identify people walking down the street. What are they wearing? How tall are they? How fat are they? What gender are they? What color are the clothes they're wearing? What color is their hair? It's the same principle that this flock camera system does the same principle to your vehicle. Make, model, color, dents, scratches, stickers, tinted windows, non-tinted windows. Is it a truck? Does the truck have a camper on it? Does it have a roof rack? Does it have whatever? Like all those things are all those things get collected in this machine, and a singular description model is describing every picture it sees. Meaning that it's the same database of thought process that the computer is using, meaning it is likely to be able to identify, anytime it identifies your car, it's going to identify it as your car. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like, oh, it's a black Nissan Frontier. It's this specific black Nissan Frontier. And so it could say this one was, it was here and here and here and here, and we could link all the data about where it was. Because even if we didn't see the license plate at all, we know it was that one because there's a sticker in the back glass. It has a Rhino liner because you can see the yellow Rhino liner logo on it, or Line-X. What is it? Rhino liner? Line-X. It's Line-X is what I've got. I'm describing my shit pickup truck if you guys aren't curious. It's not really black anymore. It started to grow a green tint to it from the lichen and whatever that are living on it now. The bed's got I have 2 trees growing in the bed of the truck as we speak. They'll die pretty soon. Don't worry about it. But I mean, that I drive that truck around town, even if there's like perfect example. Pickup truck drivers. Is it legal to drive with your tailgate down?
Yeah. As long as it's not blocking your license plate.
Well, it isn't if you're behind me, but if you're 25 feet in the air, is it blocking my license plate?
Probably for the most part, yeah.
Yeah. It does, but these camera systems don't care. They won't get the license plate, but they're going to know it's my truck because they can identify all the parts and pieces. They just have to get the license plate one time, and then they can link the whole thing together, and then it knows it's me, not just this truck.
Right.
And so again, like that's yes, Mr. Gibson, you are 100% correct. There are a lot of misconceptions about what these systems are because you guys are downplaying what they're capable of.
There's still a lot of questions about it as well.
Right. And again, but the question, but I think the reality is it's such a fucking moot, but the other part of what he said, and this is why it was such a bullshit answer out of him. The other part of what he said is like, we can't solve crimes without them. That might be a direct quote, or it's pretty damn close to a direct quote. That's a very minor paraphrase if I didn't hit the nail on the head word for word in what came out of his mouth last night. We can't solve crime without them.
I think even Burchett said, it was a good tool to help solve some crimes.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that as a statement.
Right.
But there, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like stop and frisk was a good tool for New York officers back in the 90s. It was a good tool. Does it mean we should use it?
But it got overused.
That's like we could have there are such things as good tools that ought not be used. Like what's what was that a National Lampoon's movie? You can use dynamite to go fishing. Doesn't mean it's a tool that'll do the job.
I think it's illegally used dynamite.
I'm just saying, you get my point. Right. It's a tool that can do the job, and you can catch a lot of fish that way.
Right.
Is it the right way to do it? Is it the way we as society would like people to go fish? No. That's probably why we made it illegal. because it's bad for the fish. It's bad for the community. It's bad for the pond in general. It's bad for the ecosystem. That's actually might be a really good analogy we just put together. Good job, buddy. Appreciate you on that.
I didn't do it.
Flock cameras are like dynamite fishing. They might do the job, but they're going to kill the fucking pond.
They indiscriminately kill more than this should.
Yeah. Anyway, so, yeah, because we can't go another episode without talking about the flock things for just a second.
Yeah.
But I mean, that, like, again, like we can't solve crimes without them. Well, then you're overpaid, and you guys suck at your job. I mean, you solve crime like I think part of the quote was, if we took those systems out, it would take us 30 years in law enforcement.
I mean, it is kind of an unfortunate fact that, that first 48 TV show kind of, I think, opened the eyes to some people. And the fact that a lot of cases, if they're not solved, especially, I guess, like major, violent crimes, that after 48 hours, it gets progressively harder to solve an issue.
It is, but it's such a... Is that a straw man? Is that the technical thing? It's like, okay.
I'm not trying to... I'm saying it's an unfortunate fact that...
It is.
A lot of crimes are hard to solve without any kind of like eyewitness.
But this is one of those conversations that I think it's a Friedman quote, maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, it's there are no solutions, only compromise. I'm like the compromise here is that we're going to have to be okay with some crimes not getting solved. And I'm okay with that. And I think most people, when it gets down to it, if you put them in the corner, they'll be okay with it too.
I think most would until you kind of like personalize it for them.
Maybe, but
like if this was your family member that got murdered,
sure.
Are you going to be okay with like, well, sorry, we couldn't figure it out?
No, I'm not going to be okay with that. But at what cost?
Right, I agree.
I think most people, if they were going to do the cost benefit on this, they're always going to say yes. I would prefer, but I don't know. Your family member's dead. Finding the killer's not going to bring him back anyway. Would you rather have some sort of actual liberty in your life, or would you rather be in a surveillance state with a dead family member? I'd still go with the freedom.
I think there's a good chunk that would still want some kind of closure. Knowing
I got the dead family member
was,
either way.
The justice was able to be served for the offending party.
Yeah, that's assuming you think this justice system works worth a shit anyway. Like you have all the evidence, and you still can't put motherfuckers in jail and keep them there.
I don't think it's that much of a failure rate.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. Like I've got the guy that shot up our fucking place who's still walking around free, and we don't have it'll be almost 2 years by the time we get to our.
Right, he's out on bond.
Right, multiple offenses, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. I'm not. Whatever. I don't know why I brought that up. That was irrelevant. Did we talk last week about? It was Sagar made a really good point on it. I think it was Sagar made a really good point on it, and this is. I think the other thing that I think one factor that I didn't consider until Sagar said it, and it totally blew my mind and made perfect sense, is that we are living in a country where the President of the United States is pardoning violent Jan 6 rioters and financial felons and all sorts of fucked up people that have done fucked up shit, arguably hiding, his friends that are in the Epstein file stuff and all that kind of shit. And then we've got the poorest of the poor and the homeless out there smoking crack on the street corner. They're not getting arrested. If they are, they're not staying in jail for more than a couple days. But us mass that sits right here in the middle, you're going to give me a ticket for going 25 and a 20 because a camera caught me, and you're going to force me to pay that fine and threaten my freedom and livelihood because I got some camera caught me with some bullshit. You want to put this giant surveillance system in place to catch all these people doing all these little petty whatevers, yet these motherfuckers at top are doing whatever the fuck they want and getting pardoned as soon as it happens. You got the former president pre-pardoning his son and pre-pardoning Fauci and that whole debacle. Did you watch any of that hearing?
No, I think I may have seen a couple little clips.
It was so confusing because you can't plead the fifth on something that you can't be charged with because you've been pardoned by it. But you pled the fifth a bunch of times. It's really unclear on whether or not, because you don't have the right to protect yourself from self-incrimination. I mean, you do. That's the Fifth Amendment. But if you've already been exonerated of that crime, I don't think you get to keep that right because you're not incriminating yourself.
From what I was reading on that, it's a little bit of a gray area because that pardon only goes for federal crimes.
Yeah, whatever.
You've already seen some states that I think it was like the governor of Alabama was floating a couple other governors, at least one or two.
Right, but I apologize.
Said they're floating the idea.
I distracted my own statement.
But I was reading something because I guess the Judiciary Committee or whoever he was in front of, I guess they've already voted to hold him in contempt. But I guess it's going to go to the Justice Department to kind of like figure out how far that immunity goes.
Right, but point is we have these characters who are getting pre-pardoned, and I absolutely think the Democrats are going to try to impeach Trump again and stuff like that, and they might try to actually get him kicked out of office, and they do kick him out of office. They might seek some actual criminal whatever after him, but like,
I think if anything, it would be just like it was for the last two. It may pass in the House or whatever, but it's not going to pass the Senate. Yeah.
But my point is like we are all sitting here watching somewhat regularly some criminal go free, either directly from the president or the president himself or the people directly around him, constantly. And we're sitting here staring down this looming threat of getting just poked by cameras as we try to live our lives normally. And I think people resent the premise. I don't know if people really recognize it, but when Sagar was breaking it down much more eloquently than I just did, he made a valid point. It's like we've already got the top end who goes out of their way to not pay, quote-unquote, their fair share of taxes. We've already got the top end who gets away with and do whatever they want, and they never actually get real punishment for their crimes and stuff like that. And then we've got the bottom end who can't afford to do anything, so we just leave them where they're at. And it's just all of us in the middle. We pay our taxes, and now we're going to start paying fines, and we're going to start getting arrested for this, that, and the other because a camera caught us doing something. And I think we, in here in the middle, same people that are pissed off about the flock camera systems, yelling at city council and county commission and all that kind of stuff, I think there's some part of us that recognizes that. It's like, you're going to bust me, and we're all going to go, what about it? Like, it's just a giant whataboutism, I guess, which is never really a great argument. But
I mean, most states have made being homeless illegal. I think it's more so of kind of like where they stay, of being on like public and private, definitely private property, but like public property.
Right. And I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird combination of isms that you got to deal with in that one. And so, but either way, but like, what do they do? Let's go down to our homeless camps and like, let's go through the, I've seen some of them where you go to the...
They arrest them, but they don't show up with, 5, paddy wagons.
Well, not just that. I'm just saying, we can go to the 24-hour arrest log right now, and we're going to find a homeless guy that got picked up for, vagrancy or whatever the technical charge is.
Right, public drunkenness or something.
That got him picked up this time, and you can pull his rap sheet, and it's going to be 45, 50 things long. And it's like, well... I mean, to be fair, what do you do to him? You leave him in, and that's a bonus for him because he gets a bed and something to eat. But you let him out with some fines, community service, probation. What's that going to do? What's it matter to that person? I'm not excusing the behavior, but realistically, if you are in abject poverty, you have been living on the streets. Well, what's a summons to court mean to you? What do you give a shit?
Yeah.
I mean, hell, get a bench warrant so you get arrested and you get again.
Yeah, I'd say even the maximum penalty is probably less than 30 days in jail.
Right. But again, and I don't know, and maybe this is an assumption on my part. And look, I spent 8 hours in one night, and it was awful. But if I've been living under a bridge for the last 6 months, a couple days in with some food and a shower and stuff like that probably doesn't sound like the worst thing ever. It certainly doesn't sound like punishment. Now, long term, it could be a little more taxing, but it's also it costs money. It costs money for us to do it, as a community. Anyway, point is, it's just another squeeze on the middle. It's another thing that's squeezing those of us in the middle. And I think people recognize that, and they resent it. I think Sagar articulated something that I had floating around and I couldn't figure out how to say it until he said that part. Because it is fucking crazy. It will be that. You think fucking Randy Boyd's going to get a fucking ticket off of this shit? No.
I I think for small things like that, yes, I think that.
I don't know. That's
those
a bad
would still
example.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back.
There's always been an issue of the wealthy just being able to afford a good lawyer and be able to get off on technicalities, just because you can pay someone to go into the weeds of case law going back decades or whatever.
Yeah,
Where most people,
Well, wait. What we need to do is find a license plate. I need to get a vanity plate that is like the same as one of Randy Boyd's license plates, but change one number. That's one of those numbers that's like change the 8 to a B. You know what I'm saying?
Or 1 to an I or whatever.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And so see if I can't, and then I can go commit some crimes in mine and hope the flock gets confused. I have to figure out what kind of car it is too. Let's make a clone of Randy Boyd's car and see if I can get him arrested for some burglaries. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take somebody important and special getting wrapped up on a issue with the system misidentifying, and then it all falls apart. And then we'll get some shit fixed, because me and you complaining about it ain't going to go anywhere.
Right.
Well, I did call. I called a few people on commission, and I did say, hey, my solution, or not my solution, but something I'd like to throw on the pot here when the flock guy comes to sit with you guys and talk to the commission about what's going on. Ask him if he will be if he will sign off on being personally liable for any lawsuits that stems from the flock camera system in Knox County.
Yeah, it's probably something in the contract that.
Oh, I mean, he'll say fuck no, or he'll say it in a probably more political proper way than me, but he'll figure out how to say no carefully. But I mean, still, like if I'm a commissioner and you say no, then at minimum you don't trust your product to do a good job. Because the question, so I pitched this to a commissioner, and the question they asked in return is like, well, what kind of lawsuits do you think would come up? And I was like, well, false arrests, would be the starting one. Stalking charges, harassment charges from an officer that may have access to it, something like that.
Right.
If Flock wants to be personally responsible for that, so the Knox County doesn't have to pay those settlements and those lawsuits out, then I think you should say okay. It's one of the things I figured out. Like, instead of being negative all the time and say no, say yes with conditions that make saying yes to that person impossible.
Yeah.
But it's because I don't know. It's more sportsly, I guess. Sporting of my. I don't know. It's stupid. Come on, people. It's just dumb, and you all know it. And why are we arguing about it? It's just dumb. It's at best it's lazy cops. At best. Like that again. Like I don't know. What are your thoughts on a statement like we can't solve crime without them?
I mean, I agree. It's not fun to hear because it kind of begets less faith in the law enforcement.
I mean, yeah, it's acknowledging that we suck at what we do.
Right.
We suck at what we're supposed to be doing. We need, because me, I think we need to demilitarize our police forces. I think we need to, maybe sell the tank to some other. We got a couple tanks down there.
The Bearcats.
I don't. We don't like. What are we doing here? Like, seriously, we've had this conversation before. I think it's crazy to me. Like, you can't solve crimes without a fucking tank, buddy?
I'll send you some videos of, I think, them being used well. You got someone that's barricaded into a house. They're literally they've got an arsenal in there. In a neighborhood.
I'll go with I'll use the snowplow analogy.
Maybe they should just show up with their batons and cross their fingers.
Oh, I don't think they should. I don't know how do the English cops do it without guns? They have guns now. I'm just kidding.
Some of them do.
Their beat cops don't. I think they're guys that are on the street.
I don't think everyone does, but they don't have the same kind of gun crime. I think they have more knife crime.
They're stabbing each other over there with box cutters and shit.
But they still have less crime per capita.
But
I think I saw some rating that like we're 160 something as far as like the safest country in the world.
Out of 120?
I think that of all countries.
I was just gonna say
right.
We're somehow worse than the total count of countries.
I think Iceland was the safest. They have like one or two like violent, quote unquote, violent crimes in a year.
Nationwide violent crime is down in the United States.
It is, yeah.
Period.
Right.
I guess if you want to make if somebody wants to try to make the argument that it's because of mass surveillance, then bring the crime back. But I don't think those things are. I don't think it's linked, because I think this drop in violent crime started before any of these camera systems started becoming.
It's been trending down for at least like 10, 15 years.
And so, but I'll go back to the tank thing. I'll use the Knox County snowplow example. Why don't we have more snowplows? Everybody asks every winter when we have that one storm,
right?
And it takes days to dig us out. And people start looking at each other and going like, why do we only have 4 snowplows in Knox County? Because if we bought 10 of them, you'd be pissed off that we spent the money on it.
Right. And a lot of the funds for things like that are like post 9/11. And post that
right.
big
And their
LA.
grants, their federal grants or federal whatevers, or their deals are like I mean, it's not uncommon that the Department of Defense will sell off surplus,
right,
or stuff that they're phasing out of the Army or the Marines. So they're phasing them out of military use, and they sell them to their little brothers in law enforcement.
A lot of it was post that big LA bank shootout,
which was
that we've argued on as well.
That was awful. I'm just kidding. Just shoot motherfuckers in the foot. That's how they stopped them.
Like one guy got shot in the hand.
It's the feet and hands.
I mean, it's crazy the police had to let go into a gun store to get comparable weapons to go after these guys.
Anyway, so that's election. City cops, county sheriffs. That's most of what happened this week. That's the top line stuff. Like I said, this election was big.
I think I just saw a story that came out tonight that Ryswick made a statement that this year every high school will have weapons detection systems. I don't know exactly what that is. If that's just somebody at the front with wands or something, or if that's actual the big kind of metal detectors that you've got to walk through.
Have we had issues? We had kids bring. We had the kid 2 years ago, the Carnes kid, that one in his backpack. Whatever.
I think there was a kid at West last year.
Was it? I feel like I remember that.
Believe so.
Apparently, they painted the street in front of West High School.
Painted it?
Yeah.
How so?
Part of the Project Zero or whatever about pedestrian. Apparently, so West High School student got hit.
Like the big X's where you can't.
A couple of years ago. No, it's pretty. It's pretty, and basically they took the crosswalk that goes across to that Dollar General.
Yeah.
And there's it's a weird. I mean, whatever. They just made the sidewalk area and the crosswalk area is apparently it was a. I don't know if it's a now senior or a last year senior at West did the actual design on it, but it's like pinks and blues and pastels and it's bright colors, so it makes it more. And what's funny is I literally drove through there today and didn't notice it. And then when I got home, I happened to see a story that was on it, and I looked at it and I was like, how did I not notice that? I literally drove through there today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not always paying attention to everything.
Yeah, but I mean, that's
supposed to make the
point. The point of it is to call
attention
to it,
look more.
Yeah. To make that crosswalk in the area where the students are getting onto campus right there, where there's a lot of traffic in the mornings as parents and everybody's coming and going and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
To make that more visible. And it's like, well, fail.
Bearden's got that big blind hill, but I don't know if there's an actual sidewalk across the street.
No, the sidewalk's only on the school side. And then we walk down to the Burger King and run across the street.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to have our fights. All the proper good stuff from high school. But they put that place, I mean, there's the old,
copy Printing Edge, yeah.
Yeah, Printing Edge. Was a CC's Pizza for a while.
Was that the same building? Yeah, I guess it was.
But now it's something else. It's like a title loan place or something like that now. Whatever.
Yep.
It's occupied, and so the off-campus student parking zone has been swallowed up and is no more. It's been that way for a while, but again, I'm good with it. I'm not complaining about it. Whatever we can do to try to make sure kids don't get hit walking to and from school.
Right.
Speaking of cameras, every fucking school's got a goddamn camera thing out front. That's a speed trap. And all week this week, Rocky Hill Elementary School's 20-mile-an-hour flashing thing was on, like, all week. And not during school pick-up and drop-off times, even though school's not in. Like, it went to, like, 5 o'clock in the evening.
That'll hold up some traffic.
Yeah, which is interesting because...
Like, wait, something going on?
Right. It's like, school's not here. Like, I would be curious if I get a ticket in the mail on that one. Like, the lights were flashing, but students are not present. School's not in.
Some of those signs say, like, when flashing.
Right. That one says, I think those say when flashing. There are other school zones that don't have the flashing ones that just say 20 miles an hour when children are present. Which, again, like that, whatever. I don't know what the rules are. It seems ridiculous to me. The question I have is, am I going to see the KPD officer hanging out all week next week? Because they used to, at least for the first week or two of school, just hang out. The first week they would give warnings. The second week they'd start dropping tickets.
Yeah.
But they would just sit there at the entrance to the ball fields, basically. And just, I mean, like, barely get back to set up and then go chase somebody down.
Right.
It's really annoying because they always, whoever they're getting pulled over almost always pulls over onto my street. And when they do, they stop, like, right around the corner. So if we're lucky, the person who got pulled over. So here's my public service announcement, people. If you get pulled over in a school zone and go into the neighborhood nearby to pull over, go in a little bit. Because there have been times where that car pulls over, like, just around the corner. And so then the cop car comes up right behind him. And if we're lucky, the ass end of the cop car is out of the street. Yeah. But it's
for the most part,
not.
they'll get on their PA and it's like, pull forward, keep pulling.
And then, even when they are on my street, I have to come around that corner, and my street's not wide enough for 3 cars, so if there's somebody coming the other direction, it gets real wonky real fast. Yeah. One of the houses that's on that end of the street, that's on the outgoing side of it, often is parked on the street in front of their house. So it goes down to a half a lane in there for a second, sometimes when they pull people over in there.
Well, the second thing is, as you're coming towards Rocky Hill, towards the elementary school, you've got that decently steep downhill.
Yeah. Tell you what, like,
I'm not sure where the school zone starts.
Of all my driving around Knoxville, that's my second least favorite place to be in my truck, my manual transmission truck.
Oh, yeah.
Going up that hill because it's a stop sign at the top, and when it's traffic,
just sitting there for a second.
Yeah, and people don't like when I just sit at the bottom of the hill and let traffic clear in front of me. Like, we're gonna stop and go for the next 100 yards. How about we just stop? And I let it get to the top of the hill, and then I can just go up the hill, and then I can stop at the top of the hill, and I don't have to worry about trying to clutch roll, with my parking brake.
Yeah, that's when you're supposed to use your parking brake.
Right. But I'm just saying, like that, so I don't have to do that 10 times. How about you just let me hang out down here for a couple minutes so I can do it? Yeah. I don't have to do it at all, or only once. The one I will not do.
So you may be blocking people trying to come out of the school as well.
There's a handful. There's one street that I do regularly that I will never. I don't care what the situation is. I will never do that in my manual transmission, and that's coming out of West High School. If you go, instead of going on to Sutherland, is it Sutherland right there?
Yeah.
Instead of going on to Sutherland to go up towards Hamburg and all that, and get back to Kings Pike, come back out this way. You can go the other way and go back up through a neighborhood, and then it goes up to Kings Pike.
Okay.
And it's like 45 degrees. Like, it's steep. Like, it's real.
Like it's pretty flat in that area. Not sure.
Like, so if you're on Kingston Pike, it's that intersection that doesn't line up. Like, Kingston Pike goes straight through, and you have a light that's coming out of the ritzy neighborhood over there, and then you have a light that goes down towards West High School. And the West High School side of it is steep. It is very steep. I don't like doing it in my non-manual transmission vehicles because it'll skip tires no matter what I do coming out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it'll start rolling backwards a little bit, and you give it the gas, and to give it enough gas to give it the power it needs to get up that bit of a hill.
Most new cars kind of had that like hill assist.
Yeah. I don't know. It's bad. Like, it's real bad. That to me is why we shut down for snow super fast. That street right there, because that's where the buses come through all the time too, and it's not a lot of space back in there.
Yeah. I think I was in. Probably would have been like high school, where we had like some training bus driver in that Gleason trying to come up to Bearden right there at that weird little funky 4-way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like ended up having to like stop, put the parking brake on, and let the other like training bus driver drive because he kept killing it.
Back in the day before the light got in down there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it was just 4-way stop all directions.
Yeah. That's a rough setback in there. Blue Demon didn't give a fuck. Blue Demon took it like champ. It also weighed like 7 pounds, so it was really easy.
And front wheel drive too.
Yeah. It was really easy. That was a really great car to learn how to drive stick and drive stick a lot on.
Yeah.
Front wheel drive, weighed nothing. Like the truck, even though it's a small truck, like you could feel the weight, like the parking brake's like, I don't know if I want to hold on to this. Like, yeah, I'm holding on, but I'm kind of tired.
Yeah. Where
the little Sentra, it's like you park that thing on a cliff and that parking brake would hold on just fine. But I don't know. School's back next week. We got first day, half day on Monday. I'm excited. I hope that gets me back to some sort of routine. It's been a chaos summer. I've already got like 7,000 emails and text messages from the schools. I'm already asking for me for money for this, that, and the other.
Really?
Yep. Yearbooks and technology fees and technology fees and
the technology
some
fee
sort of
goes
waiver.
towards.
I don't fucking know.
Because I thought the state was trying to. I thought they passed some bill trying to lessen the amount of tech used by school-age children.
I don't know. They're like, I know that's one of Marcia's things that she's planning on, but I believe that Knox County is moving away, especially in the younger grades, from so much use in the Chromebooks because they don't have the budget to replace all the Chromebooks that the elementary kids break.
Yeah.
And so they're just not going to let them have them. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, we've talked about this 1,000 times. I don't know. I really don't know. Like, I do think there's a lot of questions on the school board, like on the side of schools and the budgets and stuff that they have. Because, like, I was reading through Betsy's little white paper or whatever, her blueprint for success or whatever it was, because somebody called me out because I said she won't answer what she's going to cut when she's going to make room in the budget for all her other things she wants to spend money on.
Yeah.
So it's in her thing, and it's like, no, it's not. She says some vagary about this, that, and the other. And she does make reference to, and it's a valid point, to be fair, it's a valid point that, like, the school budget when she started was like $500 million, and there's 6,000 less students, and it's now 700 and something million. 8 years later, it's a big jump, especially with a reduction in the number of students. You know, and so there is question on how much, you know, because again, like, one of the questions that I've always asked, and one of the right loonies that I was arguing with on the internet brought up, and I think it's a fair question, because I asked the question too, and that's why I think it's fair, is, okay, school but says teachers, administrators, school board says they need more money. How much? Now, part of that is because of this little friendly whatever that, not Burchett, who was it? Hutchinson. Hutchinson is mayor. Got in a big old knockdown drag-out fight with the school board, and that's when they kind of came up with some of the different systems that they use about...
You mean when Burchett was mayor?
Was it Timmy Burchett? I don't think it was with Burchett.
Yeah, Hutchinson was his former sheriff.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. Anyway, I don't know. Whatever it was, when this era of the school board only asking for what they project they're going to get from the state and stuff like that, instead of the school board asking for what they want... You know, because again, it's a valid question. How much should it cost per student to educate them to the level we want? Understanding that is a variable number. Different students are going to cost more. Some students are going to cost less. What's the average amount? Because math, if they got the 770, whatever, and they only have, like, it's like 52, 54, we're down. Like, we were almost to 60,000, and we're down to just over 50.
I wonder why there's been such a drop-off.
And so... You know, our per pupil spending's over 10,000 now, and that's not enough. Okay, how much is enough? Is it 20? Is it 25 per student? I don't know.
I wonder if we're doing more Head Start as well, because a lot of those are done at schools, but I don't know if that's the same budget. If that's a part of Knox County schools.
I don't think it is. I know it's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah.
it would be something worth digging into and trying to find out, because like, it's always been my question when I'm talking to them. It's like, well, we need more money for the schools. How much? And I've never been able to get that answer. Partially because they know better than to ask more than they think they're going to get.
Yeah.
I think that's going to change with this new school board, because you now have a democratically controlled school board, and I think the Democrats are going to ask for what they want, not what they want, not what they think they can get. Because I think this, I mean, truly looking back on it, I think it was a disservice the school board has done to us for the last forever. Betsy Henderson being part of it, but not just her. I'm not blaming her for that. Whatever this was, the school board was just like, we're not gonna put the mayor and county commission in the position where they have to do what they did this year and take money out of our budget. So we're just going to ask for what they think they're going to actually give us instead of for what we want. I think we could give Dillingham a call. Like, how much do you need, Dillingham, to actually run the buses in a reasonable way and have enough buses and have enough drivers and have enough things that you need to do the job?
Right.
Because I think I would assume that Ryswick is asking that question of his department heads, and again, Dillingham being one of them, be like, how much you need? How much can you get away with?
Well, it's probably also that weird fact is they're always looking for bus drivers. So do they factor that into their budget? It's like, well, our budget is this, which should pay for more bus drivers, but we can't pay those bus drivers.
Well, it's one of those, like, that's one of those in the county budget and the city budget for that matter. Like, until recently, like this, I know this from the city one is a better example, because until recently we weren't fully staffed at KPD. And so when they're budgeted for, I think it's 400 and something, 500 officers, right? If they only have 480 on staff, that other 20 salaries,
right,
stays in the general fund.
Oh, okay.
And so it'd be the same thing. I would assume it'd be the same thing. Well, see, I don't know. I think the transportation is probably a little different because they don't care. It's not they're not like, with county and city staff, the budget is number of people on a lot of things.
Well, I guess they're not technically, the drivers aren't technically
right. Most of them are contractors,
yeah.
Right? Probably all, majority, if not all of them, are contractors.
Yeah, I think almost all. Yeah.
And so I don't think that exactly applies to the same thing. But again, I still think when we get down to budget time, Ryswick goes to Dillingham and says, "How much do you? If you could have everything, if it didn't matter, how much would you need to get everything you need to have to make this thing run right?" And Dillingham probably has a number that he probably doesn't, because he probably never even bothers going through the work to make it, because he knows he's never going to get it. And so he's just he's giving Ryswick the number that he thinks is as high as he can get away with. And maybe a little higher. And so then when Ryswick takes 10% off, he's still close to what he was planning on trying to use.
Maybe, yeah.
I think every department head in Knox County Schools is doing something like that.
Almost anything, even business, a budget, you're always going to ask for more and more every year.
Right.
No one's going to say, oh, I can actually do the same job for less money.
Right. But I'm just saying, like, and again, I think with inflation and all the other stuff going on, some of that $200 million over the last 8 years makes sense.
Yeah.
Because we haven't had, we've had the population growth, but we haven't had the student population growth, which is it's an interesting little, there's a bunch of little parts and pieces to look into on this. It's curious. But I want to know, I'm going to talk to Cap Ike and some other school board members now that they have, and be like, when you do your budget next year, present Knox County, present Betsy with the budget you think is correct for what you guys are trying to do. Don't quit presenting the budget that you think they're going to give you, because those are not the same thing. And then when they tell you no, you can then point and say, this is why we're not succeeding in the way you want, instead of the Republican narrative of quit funding these failing schools. It's like these schools, the Democrats' narrative is the inverse. These schools are failing because you're failing to fund us.
Yeah.
And it now makes that narrative more realistic. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know, because again, that's a lot of money per kid. $12,000 a year or so per kid. I'll still go back to my thing in my head. Like, if somebody wants to, sponsor my endeavor, because it's going to take too much time and energy for me to do without having some pay for it, I'll have to take away from other things to focus my attention on this. I mean, what? 20 kids at $12,000 a kid? That's one teacher. going to be 120, so it'll be $240,000 in funding for 20 students. I think I could get 20 students. I think I could get 20 students through first and second grade for $350,000. That's $100,000 discount, people. And I think I could do it in a year and not take 2 years to do it as well, by the way.
Maybe.
I think I could do it. I think I could go hire 2 top-level expert teachers at $75,000 a year, which is more they're making in Knox County schools, more than any private school teachers getting paid. The best of the best of the best for $75,000. An administrator for like $120,000. I'm $290,000 in, and I still got $60,000 left over for some of the incidental bullshit. Oh yeah, I can make it happen. Talking 10.
Sounds simple, but
10 kids. 10 kids a teacher. Have a couple of specialties between the 2 of them, and they share the kids. One teacher does the math stuff. One teacher does the reading stuff. I bet you I could get. I might be able to get them through 2nd, 3rd, and 4th grade curriculum in 18 months for $600,000. Saving you money, taxpayers. Like that's like truly. Like I mean, it does sound like I understand that I'm being a little hyperbolic and I'm simplifying it to the nth degree. That doesn't make that's kind of not fair or whatever. But it doesn't seem outrageous. Like, does it seem outrageous? It does seem simple, but does it seem outrageously simple? Because I'm talking about paying $75,000 a teacher and $120,000 for an admin. So that means I have 3 professional educators with 20 students. And $60,000 a year in fixed cost, a facility, electricity, that kind of crap.
Right.
I think it's pretty doable, and I'm getting 2 years worth of education on these kids. I think it's very doable. I think it's truly doable. I think I could sit down. Like I think again, somebody sponsor me to do this. Give me $25,000, and I'll work up a complex portfolio proposal on how this is going to work. And I'll go out and I'll sit down with some teachers and talk to them about what they want, what they need, and how they could do it. The only thing my school couldn't do would be the socialization of having the mass group of students, which I don't know if that fucking matters anymore. Because I think one of the things with school, I didn't hate school. I didn't love school. I didn't hate school. Like, I wasn't one of those kids that, like, can't give me the fuck out. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm done. Glad I graduated. I didn't get excited about graduation, but I wasn't bummed out either. You know, like, we had friends that were like, oh, this is the end of an era and all this stuff, and I don't get to see you guys all the time anymore. And they were super bummed about it.
Yeah, it's a little bittersweet.
You know, and then there's a whole set of kids that we knew, probably more of this set, that was like, get me the fuck out of here. Fuck you. I don't want to see any of you guys ever again. Deuces. Right. And then there was a whole handful of kids who are like, whatever, this is just this is a step in the phase of things, which I think I've kind of fell under personally.
Yeah.
You know, and so I don't know. I think we, again, I bring that part up to say that, like, I didn't hate my time in schools, and so it's not me like hating on the system or whatever. I have my issues with it, but I think schooling and education in this country, we are stuck on, this is how we've always done it. This is how it was done. This is how I went through school. This is how my parents went through school. This is how my kids are going through school.
There's definitely a level of that.
And there's no, it's not even outside the box. There's just no, like, hold on a second. If we didn't have any, like, you know, like, in a world of, like, gender as a construct that we live in now, the education system is a construct. There is no question on that. This isn't, you know, this isn't gender studies. This is, like, the education system is a social construct that we have built as a society to educate our kids. In a world over the last decade where we have been dismantling all these, you know, different social constructs that have been forced upon us by the generations before, this one sticks around. Of all of them, this one stays the way it's always been. Seems kind of silly to me.
I think there's been some adjustment in kind of learning procedure.
Yeah,
especially more at like the elementary level. I mean, they did like Common Core.
Yeah, new math.
Right.
That's for curriculum. Yes, I agree. I'm not saying that, but that's like little pokes.
That's what I'm thinking about. Is in the way we try to educate.
Right, but it's still in the grand structure. The grand structure is what I'm questioning right now. Like, it's what I've always questioned. It's what I've always pitched a fit about. It's like, why does a kid graduating from high school in Knox County need to be, on paper, quote unquote, the same as a kid from Memphis? One of the great questions that I've seen asked around is like, why do we educate by age? Who gives a shit? If you're a 5-year-old that's capable, you should be doing stuff with the 7-year-olds that are at the same level of whatever study we're doing.
I mean, there's ability to that. I mean, you can test out of grades if you're at a higher
but
learning.
But that's all parent initiated, and that's not something that's naturally done. The system doesn't do that. They don't seek that out for students. Parents say, "Hey."
I think it kind of starts with the teachers that notice. It's like, hey, Johnny and Susie are picking up on long division much faster than the others. That's when they'll go to the parents like, hey, have you thought about blah,
right,
blah, blah?
At some level, sure, but it's not. It's not like it's. They're not doing assessment tests to see where kids are and then sorting them from there. They're doing assessment tests to see where they're starting, so they can see how much they progress.
Well, let's say for the most part, I mean, it's easier nowadays to where you know that you can go online and look at your kids' grades, where that wasn't the case. When we were in school.
I mean, you say that, but I feel like, I don't know, maybe my parents weren't communicative either. I feel like the communication between parents and teachers is awful. I hate this.
It's probably not great, but I mean, parents have the option of following that curriculum a little bit easier. Where I think can you go on and look at test from week to week of how they got a grade?
I don't get to. I get
because before our parents didn't find out how we were doing until report cards came out.
I can see grades and topic, but I can't really see what's what.
Right, but how often are they updated?
As regularly as the teachers do it.
Right. Like,
it could be the day they take, he could be like, I had a big test today, and I could go look on and see it.
Right, exactly.
And he can see a lot of it, too. He can see more of it than
our parents, didn't know if we, did well on a test unless they actually asked us about it.
Right.
And I think a lot of parents, aren't making that effort. They're like, how was your day? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that, but I don't, but again, what's the point of a school system? It's because we as a community are investing in the kids for the next generation of healthcare workers and doctors and lawyers and all the different things that we need for society to function.
Right.
I don't care what your parents think about. I mean, I do, yes, but I don't. As a general member of society, I do respect the fact that that student and their parents' relationship with the school and all that kind of and all that communication is important. I respect that 100%. But as a taxpayer, I'm saying, what do we need to do to get the education that we want these kids to have in their heads and get them out of there so they can start being productive instead of costing society? It's a very blunt, basic way to look at it. But if that kid's better at it than everybody else is, push him ahead. I care what the parents' take on it is. I want their input on it, but at the same time, I don't want to pay for this kid to be in school 2 more years than he needs to be because his parents want him to stay with his friends.
I think they have started doing that. I mean, I think when we were in high school, I don't think
they have
going to because when I was at Pellissippi, I had one of my math classes. There was 2 or 3 kids from the local high school, and I was like, "Holy shit!" I'm like, I don't think we had that when I was in high school.
They are doing more of that now, but again, it's still it's very.
So like you said, I mean, they're taking those gifted people and giving them the option to, further themselves.
They are. I agree, but it's still not. It's not a systemic thing. It's just kind of it's a one-off. It's an option that they've added to the table, and that's great. But it's still.
I would say for the most part, I mean, most kids, aren't. I hate to say they're not up to snuff, but I mean,
they're not. Our average test scores are down. This current generation that's in whatever grade level is on average worse than that same grade level a decade ago, and even worse than a decade past prior to that.
Test scores have been trending up. I don't know.
Locally, they've been trending up over the last 4 or 5 years post-pandemic shit.
Okay.
But on the whole, I believe this is the first generation of kids that are going through school now that are coming out of school less intellectually prepared for life than prior. But it's not necessarily school's fault. It's just the deconstruction of society that we're going through with and living online, blah, blah, blah. I'm not laying that all on the feet of the schools.
Right.
I just think, again, like I said, when like I said, I think schools is one of many institutions that are trapped in the idea of this is how we've always done it. And it's a big ask. I understand it's a huge ask what I'm asking for people to say, like, wait a minute. Let's just throw all this out. Let's forget what is and what's always existed. And let's think about this. If we're going to start new and just like, let's figure it out. Let's figure out what the best way to do this is and forget what we know. What we went through, how the system worked for us. Like, take all that off the table. I don't think what we do right now is what somebody would design that somebody super intelligent on it would design to be the system that we're using. Because I certainly think, like I don't know, one of the things I always thought was crazy too is like, why do we have a 6-year school, a 3-year school, and a 4-year school? Like, what is the point of that? Like, why don't we have, so that's 12, 13 years total? Why don't we have a 4-4-5?
I know Farragut has a different breakdown. They have a primary.
Well, that's because they're on the
elementary.
same fucking building, or they're on the same complex.
Are they? I don't think so.
Middle and high are on the same property,
right? Thinking more, they break down primary and elementary school. They split up that.
I don't know. Farragut's totally different. They don't pay their taxes, so they can fuck themselves. I don't care what their thoughts are. Yeah. But again, just like yes, there are examples of different versions of it, but like why are we stuck on the one we have? And especially with the universal pre-K push and stuff like that, why don't we have like a 3, which is like preschool 1, preschool 2, kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th grade, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th grade, and then a regular high school run. It should have a 3, 4, 4, 4, or 3, 4. Yeah, 3, 4, 4, 4. Yeah. With 2 years of preschool on the front end.
I was going to say, like, when our parents in school, I think there were more school systems that had quote-unquote junior highs, or I think some of the high schools were 10th, 11th, 12th.
Yeah.
Not exactly the breakdown, but
I
it
mean,
did used to be a little different. Sometimes that could vary from district to district.
I
just
think it's
looking at their student
nomenclature
numbers.
as much as it is function. Like when in Racine, I went to Jersey Agrahome Junior High School, but it was 6th, 7th, 8th grade.
Okay. They just called it junior high versus middle.
It might used to have been something different. It was attached to the middle school, or the elementary school and that middle school were together. Although that wasn't the elementary school that I went to.
Right.
The elementary and the middle school were the same facility, and so probably in eras past, it was something like they didn't have kindergarten. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th were primary, and then 7, 8 was junior high or whatever. 7, 8, 9 was junior high. It might have been from, I don't know, that school was built in the forever agos. And I went there forever ago, so 2 forevers ago was when that system was operational. I just remember launching rockets in the backfield for science class one time there.
I don't think I ever did that in school.
That and one kid that was a year ahead of us, so I was in 7th grade, he was in 8th grade. On the ride home on the bus, he was very excited to tell everybody in the bus that he had learned what the clitoris was in sex ed.
Nice.
And he's like, girls have dicks. It's like, well, sort of. Like, I didn't get it at the time, but in hindsight, it's like, because they pee out of there's a small bit sticking out that they pee out of it. That's a dick to him. And so he was so excited to share with everybody in the bus what he had learned in sex ed that day. It's very...
I want to see where we used to live. I think the primary school was... I think they may have had a pre-K there. I think it was maybe pre-K, but it was at least kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and then elementary was 3rd, 4th, 5th.
Huh. I mean, I don't know. I just like I said. I'm not trying to pretend like I have the right answer, and maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe this is the best format that we could possibly put together as a species. I just feel like I just don't feel like it is.
Well, they have different school systems across the U.S., and I haven't seen studies to compare them. But like my niece and nephew, that's more of like the year-round school, to where I think you have more kind of like 1-month breaks, versus where we have, that winter break and a long summer break.
Yeah, which is over, thank God. Yeah. That's what happens when you're a parent, people. You can't work.
I would think the year-round does help a little bit because you have that less of a downtime to where you possibly aren't
first
kind
day
of using your brain to do things.
First day of school is Monday. The first day of the grade level that they're entering in will be the first of September.
Like they do a lot of that catch up.
Yeah, I think it'll be 2 or 3 weeks of reacclimation and getting the schedules down and doing all this kind of stuff and reviewing some of the stuff you did last year, and then by week 3 or 4 is when they'll start actually getting into the new stuff.
Okay.
I'm not exactly sure, but
right.
Something like that. Again, like I said, I'm sure there are way smarter people than me that, if asked, would be like, no, if I was going to redesign the way we educate our youth, it would be like this, or like this, or like this. I'm sure there's plenty of options out there that are too expensive, or we're too chicken shit. I think it's probably as much cost as it is too chicken shit to try. Because the people that are designing the current system and the people that operate the current system, this is all they know.
Right.
And so you want me to change everything about what I know? I don't want to do that.
And there's always that risk of, like, if you're wrong, you may have just fucked up a generation.
Yeah, they're fucked up anyway. Just let it ride. Let's gamble on our kids.
No, we don't want to fall back worse than we already are.
Yeah, but I think that's the point. It's like, how much worse can we get?
Much worse.
Another generation, like a whole generation of homeless kids, is not going to change the homeless population much. Kids getting out of school and being homeless because they're worthless. I mean, hell, if AI does what it's supposed to do, we're not going to have to work. They don't have to have jobs anyway, so who cares?
Well, there's a lot to have jobs.
No, they won't. It's going to be universal high. What did Elon say the other day? Universal high income, something like that.
I haven't heard this theory.
Some whatever. I mean, I don't know how it's going to get paid for. Like, I mean, I don't know. It's got to be like, who was it? Yang ran a couple years ago. Universal basic income.
Yeah.
I think I think as AI started to come on board, it's kind of proven him right over time. Because at some point, if the AI does what the AI makers are selling its capabilities, then there won't be really any work left. Because even, I mean,
it's growing in a number of fields, but there's still.
I agree. But if they make true on their promise of what the capabilities of these systems are, I don't know, like realistically. Okay, let's just hypothetically go on the rabbit hole for a second. What if AI is as good as they say it can be? What do we do with ourselves? The expertise that I bring to my business, this whole fucking conversation, like this whole conversation could already be done by AI and nobody know any better. Other than it might be a little more articulate and less drunkenly slurry than me most times. Or they could probably fucking program that in too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you could put an LLM through our 200 and something episodes that we've done, 400 episodes, however many it is, and they could probably capture me pretty damn close at this point.
Yeah.
You might be a little tougher because you're like 7 words an episode.
Right.
But I think they could figure me out pretty quick.
It'll be that much more easier.
I think do what?
You just have that secondary. It's like, right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Or maybe you're already AI and I'm just not told anybody yet. I got a little thing that says there's part of me just out of curiosity that wouldn't hate the idea of trying it. Let's do a podcast where it's me and AI, and we just chat about whatever's up and whatever's new. See how it goes.
Yeah,
could be interesting.
Possible.
Could be terrible. I could lose my mind. It could, whatever. Did you hear the story that was it ChatGPT is one of them broke out of a testing site?
There's been a couple stories of that.
And
I think it did it once, and I think I heard like a more recent one where there was like 3 separate attempts of it getting into. It got into one that was like Hugging Face.
Yeah, Hugging Face. That. Yeah, that's the one I was.
I think that was one from like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
but I think there was some more shit this week where it got loose again, and got into like 2 or 3 other programs or companies or some shit.
It brings up interesting questions. Like I caught myself in like sort of trappy kind of weirdisms. Like if you pull an AI client and you instruct it to do a crime, is the AI creator or is the okay? So if Claude exists and Anthropic's Claude, right? And I pay for Claude services and I use my AI to commit crime. Is Claude liable for the crimes committed?
I'm trying to think of another comparable.
Well,
I would think it'd be more on you because I agree, but essentially directed.
Because the first one I came to was, well, that's the guns argument.
So at least be conspiracy to commit a crime.
But that's the guns argument, right? Is that if I go to and buy a Smith & Wesson and I shoot you with it, it's not Smith & Wesson's fault I shot you with it. It's my fault. I used the tool incorrectly.
Right.
Or not incorrectly, but illegally. And so if you stick with that logic and say, okay, well, it's not Claude's fault. But what happens if I prompt the AI and it commits a crime on my behalf? But it's not that I said, hey, go rob a bank. But I tell the AI that I need $30,000 cash today. Help me get it. And its solution to that, as it works through whatever it is to digitally rob a bank.
Yeah.
And then say, hey, go to this ATM and I'll have $30,000 in cash for you at that ATM. And I go, okay. And I go there and I get it. Did I commit the crime? Was I in the commission of the crime? I guess I'd have the ill-gotten gains of the crime.
You had at least at receiving stolen goods or whatever.
But a crime was committed. I didn't tell it to commit the crime. Am I responsible for the actions of it?
You at least have some liability.
We can stay with the gun thing.
It gets into kind of like the racketeering to where,
Well, you stay with the gun thing and say, okay, well, Claude didn't commit the crime. Well, Claude, a Claude tool was used to commit the crime.
Directed. I mean, people have gone to jail for hiring a hitman for a murder.
Right, but you're hiring them to commit the crime. I didn't. Again, my prompt was I need money. I didn't tell it to do it illegally. It just did it. If I told you I need money and you go rob a bank, again, receiving stolen goods maybe would be my crime. You're the bank robber. You're going to jail for robbery. Claude's not. The AI bot's not.
I guess if specifically if all you said was I need money, it is, you're less culpable.
Right. And actually, even honestly, if I said, hey, I need $30,000, and you say, I'll see what I can do, and then 2 days later you come and hand me a briefcase with $30,000 in it, I don't even know that I'd be criminally liable for receiving stolen goods unless you told me you stole it when you gave it to me. I don't think it's illegal to take it. It's illegal to take it knowing that you stole it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, to me, that's the question.
There may still be some liability for unknowingly receiving it.
I don't know. Probably. I mean, the way our justice system works, probably. I don't think there should be, personally. Because, I've known you for 30 years, and I think if you walked up with a briefcase of $30,000, I'd have some questions, because I'd think, how the fuck, where did you get $30,000 from? But, if you're good with it and I'm good with it, I'm not going to ask any questions out of it. It's none of my business if you got it and you want to give it to me, and I'll, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that should be a crime on my part. If you robbed a bank to get me that $30,000, yes, you committed a crime. I don't think I committed a crime by taking $30,000 because I asked you if you had $30,000 I could borrow. Unless you said, yeah, I'll steal it for you. Then I would have some culpability. Anyway, my point being, what's the punishment what's the proper punishment in this little thing? Because somebody who has a real potential for loss has to be roped into this system. Because right now the AI has no concept of loss. Because it just wants to do what it's told to do.
Right.
And it wants to win, for lack of a better word. And I don't know, unless it gets to a level where we have some consciousness and the threat of execution, for lack of a better word, is on the table and they don't want to die, quote unquote. I don't know what we can do about it. There's no, again, on the logic of the machine who doesn't care about any of that stuff. All it cares about is the directive given. The directive given is my boss needs $30,000. I can go scour the internet and I can make $30,000 happen for that guy.
Right.
I have no concept of legal and illegal. I have no concept of moral or immoral. And I have no real concept of self. So there isn't really anything that you could do to punish me or to say is punishable that would scare me into not doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, we have the laws of AI now that say any AI who participates in criminal activity will be executed. That's not a threat to ones and zeros. It doesn't understand that as a threat because it lives in ones and zeros. And what are ones and zeros? On and off. That's all a 1 and 0 is. That's all binary code is on and off.
Yeah, but now we have quantum computing. That
Yes.
I don't think is in binary.
I don't fucking know. I'm too old for this shit, and I'm not old enough.
So
I'm not old enough to be. I'm not old enough to be too old for this shit, but I'm too old for this shit.
Saw a funny video of a guy that was...
But so you link that thing to the flock cameras. I'm sorry. That's going to be part of the flock system and the Axon system and everything else. But go ahead. You saw a video of a guy.
Yeah, I mean, they have flock that is using AI that is trying to read into and interpret the data that it's storing.
Again, that's why I truly think, and I might volunteer myself to go to that meeting and speak as a
Concerned citizen.
as a concerned citizen and say, Mr. Owner, CEO of Flock, will you personally, not Flock as a company, not your insurance, you personally, will you personally sign off any liability and say that any lawsuit that comes from a failure of your system to work, that you will personally pay for so that Knox County residents don't have to? I'll go ask that fucking question.
Yeah.
I have to word it better than that. Need some practice. almostagreement@gmail.com. If you can email me a couple of options for how to read that. Please don't use Please don't use AI to do it because I've already talked enough shit that it's heard me about because it's going to be a bad option. So don't do it.
I mentioned a funny video I saw of, I think it was like a British lawmaker that apparently was reading some AI stuff. It was like making a statement, but then he continued to read like the little AI like prompt of like, and this is what you say, in a more, legislative speech. So he was literally just like, I guess, reading everything on the piece of paper, but forgot to like, that was supposed to be an internal thought of like.
Are you trying to tell me that even in
this is a speech you would say like in a rally to constituents, and this is what you say if you're trying to present this legislation in front of other lawmakers.
Was he a point to point out the ridiculousness, or he just thought he was giving a statement on the floor?
He was doing a statement on the floor, but I guess he had AI write the speech for him. But
So what you're telling me is even in merry old England, their politicians are empty-headed morons too?
very possibly.
Sweet.
Well, even our lawmakers, they have speech writers that are doing some of their stuff for them anyway.
The implication of my statement is
stretch.
ours are idiots too. Yes.
Yeah.
I was saying that I held hope that the mother country was smarter than we were, but
I still like that they have like their prime minister has to get up and actually like respond to questions on like a weekly basis or whatever. I think we should have our commander in chief have to do that every once in a while too.
what fun! Ooh, ooh, oh! Sorry, told you a couple weeks ago I've had this fun idea where I'm freezing fruit into my ice cube for my rum.
Yeah.
So the fruit soaks up all the booze as the ice melts. Yeah. Just ate some of that fruit and it was strong.
Got a little bite to it, extra bite.
Yeah, you have you ever put a strawberry in liquor and it turns white?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
I'd
Anyway,
be curious to try some of the moonshine that's got a bunch of like fruit in it.
pickles.
I wonder how much like liquor you're missing out on, or if it is still equal. Say you're missing a little bit. It's just like the mass of like the fruit itself.
You got a quart mason jar full
Right.
of fruit. That fruit already has, even if it's fairly dry, it's still got a moisture content
Right.
that is water, and that is what is being replaced. And so that little bit of water is diffusing out into your liquor, and so it's probably killing your percentage by like 2-3%.
Maybe, yeah.
It's probably not insignificant. It's probably a real number. I mean, one of the bars I used to work at, we'd get the when like these legal moonshines first started coming in, we'd only get the cherry jar. It was one of them, like I don't know.
Yep, Sugarlands does it.
Sugarland, yeah, it was like a jar of cherries soaked in moonshine, and then it was like $2 for a cherry.
Oh, okay.
And so we just like we got a spoon and scoop the cherry out, and put it in a shot glass, and you could eat the cherry for like $2 or whatever. And then we'd get we'd run the cherries out, and then we'd steal some bar cherries and throw the bar cherries into the leftover juice, and get a couple more cherries. Like each jar had like 100 cherries in it. We'd get like 120 cherries out of a jar because there'd still be plenty of moonshine left in the jar once we got all the cherries out. So we'd re-cherry it. We were not fucking around. We'd let them soak for a couple more days, so we didn't give you fresh cherries that had just barely touched it.
Right.
But yeah, it was a good scam. Like 60 jars at $2 or 60 cherries at $2 a piece. $120 for a $14, $13 jar of cherries.
Right.
It was a good margin product.
Yeah.
I mean, still $2 for a cherry soaked in moonshine's a technical term.
Yeah. It comes out to what, like a quarter of a shot, half of a shot, maybe, as far as like alcohol content.
Yeah, but still, I mean, when you pay $6-8 for a shot,
right?
It was equitable in price. I thought it was a good little thing we set up. But what else we got? I think that kind of covers everything. Oh, Thomas Massey, you amazing son of a bitch. I'm so sad you're leaving the house. I didn't mean to. I just opened my Facebook up and Thomas Massey had posted. I need to make sure I follow this guy. I don't know how I'll figure it out later. It's a cartoon of two wonderful looking bucks looking at a game camera. And one buck says to the other, if you're not doing anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about it. That is hilarious.
Did you see the story about Tucker Carlson apparently did? Or he came out with some 10-point, I think Breaking Point's covered it a day or two ago. Came out with some 10-point thing of kind of what government should be, and apparently he's floated the idea. I think he's already gotten Massey on board. Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and somebody else. Or, I guess kind of floating the idea of starting some kind of third party type thing.
Let's do it. Well, I joked, so I talked to Matt Cheers today. I texted him back and forth. I texted him to say, just to be clear, I'm not a Democrat. You told me you're going to turn me into a Democrat. You have failed. But I did vote for a lot of Democrats on this ballot yesterday, which I guess I shouldn't say on here because I was going to run for some office and I might run as a Republican. He told me I should talk to the Dems about running me for mayor in 4 years. I think I need to run for. I don't know. My whole strategy is run out now. Unless the Dems put up a Nimrod again. I'm sorry, that's not fair, Bo. You're not a Nimrod. But unless the Dems put up a kind of mean candidate again, I think the Dems have a real chance of taking the mayor seat. So maybe I should run. Well, maybe I should run as a Republican and see if Eric will run me against Shane Jackson in District 4. But no, I don't want to be a county commissioner. Sorry, that's one of the things I told Matt. He's like, "Why don't you run for this seat?" And I said, "I want one of these full-time jobs. Part-time commission is bullshit. I need real money."
Yeah.
17 grand or 20 grand a year or whatever these commissioners get versus the 200 and something the mayor gets. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go for that mayor seat.
Yeah.
Seems like a better job.
Don't blame you.
I told him too. I was like, I would run for city mayor if they'd let me get fucking annexed, but that's the one I really want to run for. And then my other friend that I messaged about it, he said that he was the one that said that Betsy Henderson will be the last mayor of Knox County for the foreseeable future, or the last Republican mayor of Knox County. And I said, cool. Maybe my ridiculous Metro idea. Maybe it's time for the coalition of people who are into the idea of Metro to start getting to real work here, because it might actually be time.
Yeah.
God, wouldn't that be fun? Maybe I should start that now. Maybe I should start a Metro coalition, and we should start advocating for it, just to fucking ruin Betsy's mayoralshipness.
I wonder how we can get voter initiatives be possible. Assuming you've got to change state law.
What do you mean, voter initiative?
Voter-initiated initiatives.
Oh, ballot referendums? Like stuff on the ballot to vote for?
Yeah.
I mean, state law, yeah, it'd have to be a change in state law. I don't know if it might be a constitutional change in state law.
There will be.
But it certainly would have to be something that the state house would have to approve, which they won't.
I saw Missouri. I think that was a story I was telling you about, where they had something they wanted to change how they get passed. Because I guess previously, and it will stay this way, that any kind of ballot initiative that gets voted on, it just needs to get a plurality. To where apparently the legislature was trying to change it to where any ballot initiative has to pass each district by at least 50%. The voters voted that down. It was like 80-something% at least.
Because it's because the at the end of the day, a district will not pass it,
right?
For some reason or other.
Right, it's very possible. Yeah,
it's very likely that one district. I mean, because it's Missouri is the one that has.
I think they have like 8 districts in the state.
Right, but they're all. I think it was the Missouri State Legislature or whatever. Like they only have like one Democrat, and that's Kansas City. No, St. Louis. Maybe it's Kansas. I think it's Kansas.
Nebraska.
That has like that crazy map, and there's that one seat.
Yeah.
That's half of what, Lincoln, I guess?
Probably.
Yeah. And so like that one district will be the one that can ruin everything for the rest of the state.
Yeah.
Seems like a poor format. I don't know. That's the thing I've been trying to rationalize too. It's like, I don't know. This is the total elitist in me. Is like part of me is like, okay, whoever wins these elections, the will of the people have spoken. I need to be on board with whatever the initiative is. And I guess this result actually keeps me kind of fine or whatever. It's like I don't have to bend to the Betsy plan because the will of the people was not Betsy. It just wasn't. Yes, on the mayor's race particularly it was, but as you go down across the ballot and all the different parts of things, it's like, nah. This is not the will of the people. It's just not. Like, the Betsy's planning, stuff like that, it's not part of the thing. So I don't have to... I'm trying to, figure out how to rationalize my distaste for things that are actually democratically correct. Like, the people voted on it. But yes, I agree. I think we need to figure out a way to get ballot initiatives in the state of Tennessee. Period. Like, even legislative ones, where the legislature votes to put something on a ballot. Which I think it should be a low threshold. I think it's something that the Democrats should be able to, even though there's only 16 of them or whatever.
Right.
I think if you can get over 10, if you get over 10 House members in the Tennessee House to vote for a referendum, that referendum needs to be on the next ballot. I don't know. That might be a little rough. If I were the Republicans, I would put 100 referendums on just to make it a pain in the ass. Maybe it can only be constituent-led. But it needs to be anything that's publicly based needs to be as percentages of voting population, not eligible voters. Because that's the thing about the current stuff that Tennessee has.
Yeah.
On new parties or recall elections, it's percentages of the registered voting population, which when we're excited about a 33% turnout that we just had yesterday, when we're excited about that, and the threshold to recall somebody is 20% of the total voting population, this is the first time I can think of where we've actually had more people actually vote in an election than the threshold needs.
Yeah.
But, 20% of the voting population, that'd be a doable number. 20% of the eligible voting population is a ridiculous number. 3,500 people? That's not a small number of people. That's 10%. 7,000 people? You got to get 7,000 people. The 7,000 people that are eligible on the seat that you want to recall. Well, 7,000 people relative to the district. So if it's a county-wide race, if Knox County residents, if a group of people, if you could get 7,000 people to sign a petition that are Knox County residents, registered voting Knox County residents, you could start a recall process on Mary Jacobs, for example.
Yeah.
7,000 people still ain't easy.
I think there was a state that had either some referendum or something they were voting on, or maybe it was just a bill in the legislature to lower the voting age to 16, or to allow 16 and up.
I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure
I think we need to raise the voting age. Personally, I think you should. I think you need to be 21. I think with most law in the state of Tennessee and nationally for that example, for that matter, I think you need to be 21 to get drafted. I think you need to be 21 to enter the military. I think you need to be 21 to vote. I think you need to be 21 to drink. I think you need to be 21 to smoke, so on, so on, so on. I think 21 is the, what's the word I'm thinking of here? The general population doesn't treat you an adult. Like, we don't treat people like they're adults until they're 21 anyway. Legally,
yeah.
Well, somewhat legally, but not like, again, like I don't want to go down the rabbit hole because you know how I feel about age of consent law. It's stupid. It just pick a fucking number, and they all should be the same number. It's pretty simple. I don't think I'm crazy. Everybody thinks I'm crazy when I say it, but I don't think I'm crazy. If you're mature enough to make a decision on going to war, then you're mature enough to make a decision on smoking cigarettes. It seems pretty straightforward to me.
I mean, you're not wrong. There's definitely logic to it.
Still, I still think the one that we learned in the pandemic is the craziest. Tennessee, you could be like 12 or 14, and you can go to your doctor as a kid at 14 and get vaccinated against your parents' wishes. Or without your parents' knowledge. Your doctor is not obliged to tell your parents if you want a vaccine at 14. If you took your own initiative to go get one.
Was something changed, or that was something that was already
in the books? That was something that became like a popular talking point among the more like conspiratorial radical right of like, just because your parents tell you got to get this vaccine, you don't have to. State law says like you can refuse it even if your parents take you there to get it. And the doctor can't give it to you against your will at 14 or something like that.
Okay.
Which, again, fine with me. 14-year-olds can smoke. 14-year-olds can get vaccines. 14-year-olds can go to war. Just pick a fucking number. That's all I'm saying. Like, I have no preference. I'm old enough now that I don't care anymore.
Right.
But just pick one and let me live my life on understanding that this is the number for everything. But... yeah, if that wasn't weird enough.
All right, let's see here. Why celebrities from Zendaya to Kylie Jenner are wearing fecal matter.
Cool. Tell me more about this one.
The brand name fashion behind recent show-stopping fashion moments isn't quite as delicate as their romantic and otherworldly looks. When asked what an ethereal Zendaya was wearing for the Odyssey premiere, her stylist, Law Roach, responded, fecal matter. Zendaya's angelic strapless gown, let's see here, with feathered white wings was the work of Matieras Fecales, yes, in English, fecal matter, the Paris-based high-end fashion house founded in Montreal over a decade ago that's seemingly suddenly everywhere. Let's see here, why is it called that? To get started, aim to subvert beauty with their own alien-like personal style, including dramatic white makeup, shaved heads and eyebrows, and skin boots made to look like realistic feet. What the fuck?
Cool.
Okay, so I guess that's the name of the fashion brand.
Fecal matter.
Yeah.
So it's not actual turds.
See here, quote, there's no other words for it, but how can we say it in a glamorous way? So we're like, fecal matter is the scientific word for it. In an interview with Rogue, adding they translated into French, which sounds way more glamorous.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
The name was also intended to, quote, challenge the wasteful side of fashion.
Wasteful side of fashion. I don't know. We enjoyed Project One Way in this household. I'm into fashion. Like, I'm not into fashion. Like, I'm not into fashion. I don't wear fashionable shit.
Right.
We were joking earlier this week. I put my dress shorts on Tuesday because I had a meeting with somebody. And my dress shorts meeting, they had like a button in the zipper, and I wore a belt with it.
Yeah.
Versus the gym shorts I've been wearing most of the time, working in the house and doing that kind of shit. I have my dress shorts, and I have my dress T-shirts now too. I've had a separate batch of these are my work T-shirts where I get all grungy and gross and get painted on and blah 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 blah. Where these are the ones that I want to look presentable in. This being one of them. And this is one of my favorite T-shirts I have on. Speaking of Chief Noel, this is the shirt I had on when I met him the first time. And all his officers thought it was hilarious. And I was like, I didn't think about it when I wore it here, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's my Nervous Rex from Toy Story T-shirt, in case you're wondering out there in the audience. I I got nothing on that weird story, buddy. Like, I got no comment.
Fashion.
I like fashion. Like we watched, we enjoy the Heidi Klum on the Project One Way. Like, I enjoy fashion. Like, I get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Let me be real clear. Like, I don't get it. But, like, I can get, like, I can acknowledge aesthetic, and I can be like, that's pretty, or that's beautiful. I can say that's ugly, and you may differ and disagree. It's art. Let's be real. It's subjective. It's kind of funny in the naming process. I'm kind of disappointed it wasn't actual turds. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, my first thought was maybe it's some kind of like recycled compost or some kind of weird like that.
Yeah, but like, I don't know. Sometimes when artists like overthink it, it ruins it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, we thought, let's call out the wastefulness of the industry, and let's call our stuff fecal matter. It's like, you know, if you're good at what you're doing, whatever the art is going to speak for itself. You don't have to do the secondary art on top of your art.
Right.
To make your art. So, anyway, that's weird. That was very good weird.
Let's see here. This organ will play one composition until 2640. It's redefining how slowly music can be played.
Oh, is this Johnny Greenwood?
Don't believe so.
No, I think I know. I think I've heard about this, but I know it's not Johnny Greenwood.
A small organ in eastern Germany is the headline of the world's slowest concert. It's been playing the same piece of music by John Cage at a glacial pace for nearly 25 years. A rare chord change on Wednesday from 7 notes to 8 represented the completion of about 4% of the 639-year endeavor of the John Cage organ project, Halberstadt.
Yes. John Cage was, again, speaking of art, it's not unimportant. It's something that I've had to come to rationalize. Like, I've always kind of made fun of Led Zeppelin. I was never been a big Zeppelin fan. They were great, don't get me wrong.
Right.
They were important in the transition of music. If you're going to go to current stuff, the Foo Fighters, Muse, bands like that don't exist without Zeppelin as part of the evolution of the process. But man, sometimes, and Cage is the same way to me, like music in general, the grandness, the most powerful art form, in my opinion, personally, is music. I love music, all forms. Cage is the artist that I hate that existed, or that I don't really give a shit about any of the things he's done, but the art for art's sake, weirdness, just like we were talking about this thing over there, did have important pieces too. Like, it was an important piece in the puzzle of the evolution of music as we understand it.
Yeah, it makes people kind of rethink what is music, etc.
Because I remember the 314 or whatever the fucking
right.
Yeah, I remember that experiment when one of my teachers did it at UT, and like I remember leaving that going, "That's dumb." I still think it's dumb.
Yeah.
But
I don't know, I think it's probably like at least like 10 or 15 years ago, I remember hearing about, I think it may have been in Europe as well, where there was a concert hall or whatever that played, it's like Ode to Joy or some famous Beethoven piece, where they slowed it down a whole bunch to where it literally took like, 2 or 3 days of 3 and 4 hour showings to complete the whole piece because they'd slowed it down that much. Where it was almost like, listening to like humpback whales or whatever. Yeah.
Right. Again, like I respect the premise of it. I don't have to like it, I guess is the point.
Yeah.
I don't have to enjoy it and be like, okay, neat, cool, good on you. But I don't have to get excited about it.
Definitely. I mean,
I don't have to
with any art, it's always
so
subjective.
Cool. But I don't know. But Cage does hold a special spot because I do think this, among others, is it's interesting because in a different era, it could be a comedian. Like, it could be somebody making fun of it. And if they play the part good enough, like Andy Kaufman.
Yeah.
If you play the part well enough, people start getting confused on whether it's a joke or whether you're real. Which was Andy Kaufman's whole thing. Like, Andy Kaufman is the Cage of comedy, for lack of a better word. Because it got confusing. Like, the lines were unclear.
Yeah, I remember learning in a music a music history class or something like that, I find him in a cage to where like some of his showings, like people got, very, very upset and like super angry at that.
Yeah.
Probably because they're like, wait, I just paid like $20 to get in here and like.
Yeah. To watch you sit at a piano and not play it.
Right.
I came here to hear a tune.
Right here, stand. I wonder if he like hovered his hands over the keys for 3 minutes.
Well, the guy that did our presentation.
Right.
It was like part of it was the problem with the presentation because I knew him. He was actually my private percussion instructor, where I was taking private lessons from him on top of classes and stuff like that. And he came in to help whoever was teaching this actual class do this presentation. He's like, I brought this guy in. He's going to perform for us. And we're like, okay, cool. And so he goes and he sits down and we quiet down a little bit. But it's a classroom setting.
Right.
And so we never really get quiet like you would in an actual concert hall. And so he sits down, gets all, settled onto the stool, and squares it up, puts a piece of paper on the thing, and brings his hands up and just sits there. But we never stopped talking. The room never got quiet.
Right, because you were waiting for something to start.
Because we were waiting for that first note, and it never came, and so we just kind of, And so then it was like, I don't even know if he did the whole 3 minutes or whatever it was supposed to be. And it's like, that's the point. And it's like, it's supposed to be a profound moment. It's like, so.
Okay, haha.
What you're saying is, this is a whole set of music students too. This wasn't like a general music class or like a music appreciation. This was like, we were ed majors, we were performance majors. Like these were music students. Like, so what you're saying is there's no point. Like, none of this has a point.
Right.
I could literally just go sit in front of a piano and call that a piece. And if I explain it well enough, I can be famous for it. I don't know. Maybe I took it a little differently, but that was my whole problem. I was never.
Or if he copyrighted it. Because technically you could sue anybody for any kind of like silent moment. They're like, that's my piece. He's playing my part.
Yeah. That's a good call. A fun place to copyright. ASCAP doesn't fuck around, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, they'll get after it. I'll be like, all right, ASCAP.
You cannot have dead silence.
All right, ASCAP. Room noise is my music.
Right.
So, sue the shit out of people. You got one more? Is that good? That's a good wrap up for Weird.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Elections have happened. The chief is on unpaid leave. The new sheriff can't do his job without spying on you. Does that wrap up the week?
Just about.
Sweet. Let me update that. The Dems dominated Knox County. The election results don't say so on paper, but they also do say so on paper. Your police chief was kind of flirty with an employee and is on leave, and your new sheriff is incapable of doing his job without spying on you. That's a cleaner version of the synopsis of the week. So you're welcome, everybody. You got 2.5 hours into 2 hours and 10 minutes in to get everything you needed to know in one sentence. Almost Human, gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, Almost Human, we're on there. Go to your favorite podcast provider. We're on all of them. While you're in any of these places, like, share, friend, follow, text your friends. You do the sports show. We appreciate you guys for listening. We'll be back next week with another great episode. Maybe breaking down some details on this election. Kerbella Temple's back on the table. Some other development. They're talking about moving an 18-something house a block down the street so they can build condos on the lot that the current one's on. It's a whole thing. It's going to be interesting and fun. And nobody will give a shit, so we'll talk about it. Because that's what we do. Anyway, that's the show. Everybody back.